Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire podcast! Join us on an unforgettable adventure through Middle-earth, and the extraordinary mind of J.R.R. Tolkien.
I'm Ashley, your Silmarillion guide, and I'm joined by the delightful and wonderful Abby, who is new to the Silmarillion world, but is no stranger at all to Tolkien's world. So, whether you're a seasoned Tolkien fan or a curious wannabe hobbit like us, this podcast is for you.
So let's unravel elven genealogies, untangle timelines, and discover the brilliance of Tolkien together. So let's grab your staff or your sword or your axe or my bow and let's go!
Oh my gosh.
I had to.
That was not even on the robot overlords did not give us that. That is pure Abby right there. I love you so much.
So I have a tiny co-host today.
Hi, Oakley.
Oakley, can you say hello? He's too focused on trying to shove a USB into my phone charger of my phone.
Sure. Well, speaking of our robot overlords, I completely forgot something last week. And I feel very, very bad.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you forgot to. We have mom brains. I will fully admit the mom brain thing. It is 100% a real thing. Because we got a new Patreon last week. Or patron last week.
What?
No, last week. Remember? No, we knew this. Tom.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
From the Netherlands.
Who did our names.
Yes. And what did we do? What did we forget to do, Abby?
Their song.
We didn't sing them a song.
Oh, no.
So, from the deepest of our hearts, we sincerely apologize, Tom. I felt really bad after. I'm like, what did we forget? No. So, Tom, this song is for you. Okay.
I really want you to click on your boombox when you say that. Tom, this one's for you. Click.
Okay, so going with our current song, we have to stay with tradition here. Okay, let's see if I can do it. And now Tom enters as our newest friend. To support our podcast and our journey, he does send with Dan and Christian, a fellowship we've grown. Together we'll thrive, united we're not alone.
Woo!
And then, you have to have the chorus. So everyone is in I guess they were in that one too. But so thank you, Dan, Chris, Shane, and Tom for your patronage. Your support is valued more than we can gauge. Through the tales of Middle Earth will inspire with you by our sides. Oh, dear patrons, our sires.
Woo!
Yeah!
Woohoo! I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
So,
thank you
sorry,
for supporting
again.
us.
We really appreciate it.
I was also going to quickly apologize if you hear any rustling. I do have a baby in my lap, so you're just going to have to deal with the fact that there's a tiny human on my lap today. So
He's not a baby anymore.
Why don't you just stomp on my heart while you're at it?
Sorry. Okay. So, what do you remember from last week? Do you want me to do the recap, or do you want to do the recap?
I remember
lots of jerk faces.
There was some genealogy stories of a lady and her husband who did not like each other, but they got married anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had two boys. Were they twins? No, they were older and younger.
Yes.
And the older one was like the mom and more like more of an elf friend, I think you would call them, right?
Or the Ellen Dealey.
More for the people and for the land and for helping everyone. And then the younger son and the dad are more like, we want everyone to give us their money and love us, and we're the most famous people, and blah, blah, blah.
The king's men.
And then that son, the older son, became king.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out good for the people that he was king.
Yeah, because he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. And then the younger one wasn't a fan of that because he wanted to be king.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what happened. Was it the younger one that had the sons? The son Phazon or something like that? Was he that guy?
Yeah, yeah. He was that guy. So just to give names, the older son that became king ended up being Tar Palantir, and the
And
younger
then his
brother was Gimil-Khad,
yes,
who kind of led up the king's men and like was pretty open against all the Elendili and open against his brother as much as he could. And then, yeah, Gimil-Khad's, sorry, that's the way you say his name. His son is named Ar-Pharazon. So you were right.
So he's king and he's a good king, but people don't like him, right? Like some people don't like him.
Right. They're more with Gimil-Khad.
And he has a daughter named Muriel.
Mm-hmm.
And she is queen.
Kind of.
Kind of. Well, she's destined to become queen.
Yes.
And then
more accurate.
Pharazon was like, no, I want to be king. I'm going to marry you. And she's like, but you're my cousin. And he's like, I don't care. I want that crown.
Yeah. It's very upsetting, Oakley. I agree.
Yeah. And then, so they got married, even though it was illegal. He's like, well, I'm king now. I can make it legal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was unfortunate. And no one liked it. And
but they like Pharazon for some reason. He's the Gaston that is a jerk face, but somehow people like him and they trust him just because.
Like Gaston. People like Gaston.
Kinda, yeah.
Maybe they're afraid of him. That's
want to be afraid of how much they love me.
Thing. Anyway, yeah.
One of the best office lines ever. So Pharazon is now the king, and because he kind of rose in the ranks by being a military guy, he's like starting to get itchy for battle again. And then he starts hearing that, Sauron has been calling himself the king of men and has been like, I'm going to rule Middle Earth and maybe even Numenor if I feel like it. And Ar-Pharazon's like, oh, hell no. And I'm going to do that myself. So he starts making plans to become the king of men and Middle Earth and everything in between. And also, by the way, that Sauron guy is actually going to be my slave and servant because, I'm the heir of that awesome guy, Arendil, who nobody would possibly want to mess with. He's kind of a baddie, so don't mess with me.
I don't understand his thought process of like, oh, I'm going to make Sauron be my slave. It's like, have you met the guy?
Yeah.
He's literally a Maiar, basically. So how is that gonna work?
Yeah. Let's not forget that fact. But again, this goes back to, and I have heard, I hear you guys, that you guys do not like the Rings of Power show. I hear you. I hear you made your comments quite clear to me. But
people can have opinions. I like it.
I mean, you're entitled to your own opinion. But I do feel like there were certain feelings, the vibes were there. Like how Pharazon in the show was like, we're better than elves. We're so much better and we're so much blah, blah, blah. Like we are superior to elves. Well, you're not. But just the fact that he thought that, like... Just like it's just
confidence, yes, the audacity.
Yeah, it's just like that kind of conceitedness to think that you, as a mortal who has no special abilities at all, are better than everyone else just because you say so. So it kind of goes into that, stems from this, like, you know what? I'm such a cool king of men. I'm going to make Sauron my servant because I am so amazing.
I would like to see you try.
Yeah. Well, that might happen today. So just one thing I'm going to add here, just a reminder, because it's going to come up in the next, maybe not today, but in the next episode, just to kind of, I don't want it to get lost. Because remember, there was a house of Elendili, a royal house on Numenor that wasn't quite royal, but they were still descendants of Elros. And someone actually told me it's because way back in the beginning, there was a daughter who they didn't let be queen at that time. Like it wasn't a thing yet. So it was her descendants that kind of like, you're still like royalty, but you're not like creme de la creme royalty.
Rude.
So we'll just call you like a lady and a lord.
Rude.
But this house is called the the Lords of Andunier. And these guys are just really good at still being faithful to the Valar and the Eldar while still outwardly being loyal to the king. So just don't forget those guys.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to pick up where we left off last
You shortened
week.
it. You just shortened it.
I did. So Pharazon has, started making his weapons. He's got his warships. He is sailing east to Middle Earth. So, just imagine it. A version of Gaston, but for some reason in my head, Pharazon's fat, right? Like, there's no other way. He has to be fat because he's like, he just has that vibe.
Uh-huh.
And
portly.
Plus he's known as the Golden. Portly. So plus he's known as the Golden. So either that refers to like his reign, like his reign is so epic and awesome, or maybe like he just really likes the color gold for his wardrobe, or maybe his hair's gold. I'm going with the hair being gold. So
Okay. Think this vibe. Gaston, but the look of Professor Lockhart from Harry Potter.
Yes,
So he
I like it.
Very like ta-ta-ta, like I'm the best.
Yes.
So like
yes.
His hair's always
cheesy grin.
Great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a Professor Lockhart Gaston.
Yes.
Okay. I'm with it. But it also reminds me of that scene from Brave when all the clans are sailing in at the same time and they start like competing with each other with their like drums and like how fast they can row. But Ar-Pharazon is like just competing with himself, really. But he just is like, he just is always trying to one up someone, So
what's the name of the guy with the funny hair? The clan with the guy with the funny hair is my favorite. Who looks like our uncle.
Dingwall!
Yeah. We have an uncle who looks like that.
Yeah, we do, huh? So he's sailing to Middle Earth with his army. All of his fully armed warships just ready to crush the dreams of that Sauron guy who dared to think he could be the king of men compared with him, the heir of Arendil. Nonsense. Blasphemy.
What is there? There's a movie scene in my head.
Is it Monty
where
Python?
It's a guy who's like, I'm the bravest, I can do this, and then like he gets total loves me, all the ladies love me, I have the best armor, and it's like the person's like, no. Like the monster is like
I'm thinking either Monty Python or Shrek for some reason. Yeah,
I was just gonna say Shrek
because that's another good not analogy. Another good visual too is Prince Charming from Shrek.
Yeah,
for Pharazon.
But
like that
the Prince Charming from Shrek, but the personality of Lord Farquaad.
Yes, yes. So he's pulling up to Middle Earth with this armada. Quote. And men saw his sails coming up out of the sunset, dyed as with scarlet and gleaming with red and gold, and fear fell upon the dwellers by the coasts, and they fled far away.
Whoa. Just from the look of their ships?
Yeah. So these poor forgotten men, I'm going to lay on that pity because they deserve it, okay? I think these poor forgotten men, they're just trying to live their best lives as well as they can. And then all of a sudden they see this freaking armada of ships coming and they're like, oh no, what horror is coming to get us now? And they just run for
it. They're probably like, oh, what a lovely day to farm. Oh my gosh, dragons from the sea.
Yeah. So thanks to the way Middle Earth was reformed and flooded after the War of Wrath, there's actually a very nice naturally made harbor on the southern coast of Middle Earth called Umbar. Now, I did send you a map the other day. Did you get my map?
Yes, I saw the map.
Okay, so if you're looking at the map, I want you to tell me in what military strategist's mind this makes sense. Do you see where Umbar is?
So they're coming in.
It is way at the bottom.
Yes. It's it's way down there.
Yeah, it is a very nice harbor. Do you see there's like a
like a little peninsula,
like a baby Yoda hand
peninsula.
like reaching in? Yeah. Yeah. So it's a very nice harbor, sure. But if you're going to freaking Mordor, I'm seeing a coast that it would have been much easier to land at than
there's even a little
all
island.
the way down there.
Gotta stop at their little island.
So, I mean, the only thing I could think of is like maybe he's like wanting like a stealthy approach. Like he could hide a whole armada.
Coming around from the back, maybe.
Yeah, he could have that whole armada hide in that little harbor thing there. And then, sneak his way up there, right? That's the only logical reason I can think that he would land there.
I could see it.
Okay. But Ar-Pharazon's next move just blasts that theory out of the water. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Quote, "For 7 days he journeyed with banner and trumpet, and he came to a hill, and he went up, and he set there his pavilion and his throne."
So he just set up a cool lawn chair and was like, I'm going to watch this.
Yes. With a really cool umbrella. No, so he marches his army for 7 days, trumpets blaring, banners flailing, and then he's like, there, that hill, that would be a really good place for me to, have my lawn chair and my umbrella. I mean, if he was going for stealth, I thought, and you weren't in band like I was. I had flashbacks of marching band in junior high and high school where we had to like march in parades and stuff. For the first few songs, we would sound pretty strong and, the notes would be pretty clear. And then as the day got hotter and the parade just never seemed to frickin' end, the once like peppy marching band that we were just became like a literal funeral march of like sweaty teenagers carrying heavy and hot metal instruments, wearing the most ridiculous uniforms that were
like
no way
polyester.
Comfortable. Yeah. I think ours were wool blazers.
Oh,
wool blazers.
Oh, no.
With white pants.
Come on.
So that's exactly what I'm picturing for this 7-day march of stupidity. Like he's just, keep playing, guys. This is my favorite song. We're going to play it for the next 7 days as we march with all of our weapons and all our armor.
Oh my gosh. So their stealth is not a thing. Like stealth is not a thing for them.
No.
They must announce their presence.
And right. And then I'm sure he goes up the biggest hill that he could see, like there. And they're like, ugh. Marching up a hill, playing their instruments, trying not to die. And then he's like, set up my lawn chair here.
He's the only one on a horse.
Yeah. Of course, he has to be in like a litter, right? Where they like carry him.
Yes.
He's not marching for sure.
No.
And then, they get
his litter is like totally
quarters and
what is that? Curtained.
Yes.
And you just see his little hand poke out, like, move along, keep going.
People with shading him, and he has like the palm fronds feeding him grapes, I'm
a great warrior.
So he gets his pavilion and his throne all set up, ready to go. Quote, "Then he sent forth heralds, and he commanded Sauron to come before him and swear to him fealty."
What? How?
The nerve of this guy.
I know.
Like, I don't usually like using this term, but the balls on this guy.
For real, though.
There's no other term for it. But for real, though, like you march all that way. You don't even have the nerve to go to Mordor directly to talk to Sauron. You put your makeshift throne and pavilion up. You make a show. and then you send messengers to fetch him for you.
Yeah. Go get the servants.
But then I had this hilarious image in my brain of like, okay, what is that meeting like? So I imagine him sending 3 of the most like awkward, like lankiest looking soldiers, just like terrified with every step they made into Mordor. Like, dude, I heard this Sauron guy is pretty dark and scary. I heard he can turn into a bat. I heard it was a werewolf. And then they heard like some rustling in the bushes and they start like freaking out and it's like a little bunny or something.
Like the squirrel from Emperor's New Groove.
Right? Or, and then just for some reason this came into my brain, it's the 3 guys from Mulan. So like a really tall, lanky one, kind of a short, and then a really huge fat guy.
Okay, you must tell me how this goes. So he sends someone to go get him. He doesn't even go himself.
Right. Sorry, I'm still imagining what this is like. So these messengers come to Barad-dûr, knees shaking, and ask like, "Hey, we have a message for your master Sauron." And they're like looking at these orcs, like, do they even speak English? Like, what do we even call them? Do they like being called orcs? Is that okay? And you know, like
he like puts his hand out to like shake his hand. He's like, no, it's okay.
Like none of them have. I'm sure that this is their first time leaving Numenor. Certainly the first time they've met this creature called an orc. So they start like trying to do like hand signals to try and convey the message, and then like Sauron's like watching the whole thing from like a dark corner. He's like, stop. Like, just stop.
You're embarrassing
just
yourself.
Tell me what you want. Yeah. So anyway, that's how I imagine it. So anyways, these messengers somehow deliver this message to Sauron that Ar-Pharazon wants you to come to his like makeshift throne thingy, and he wants you to swear fealty to him.
So how? Okay.
Uh-huh.
He is like he's seen what Sauron and Morgoth have done. And he's like, nah, he's going to be my friend. He's going to be my slave now.
Oh, he hasn't seen what Morgoth was long gone by the time Pharazon came up. And so like, and Sauron has only been like a medium villain at this point.
A medium villain. I think
he only has Mordor really. So
they've heard stories. They had to.
But from who?
I don't know. Like,
I'm going to bring this up later, but I can bring it up now. If you had cut off the Valar and the Eldar from your island, you have no other source of history. Because the Elendili were the ones keeping the histories. You have no idea where you came from, who these people are, the history of, everything really. All you know is like, hey, our ancestors did some good stuff and we got this island. Cool for us.
His lack of education has made it abundantly clear that he's going.
Yes.
That he's like, I'm fine. I'll be fine. This is just another dude.
Yeah. This is why it's important to learn history, people. So, what do you think Sauron did?
I don't even think he came out. Or he's like, I'm going to show this guy, and he did come out. Those are the only 2 options, is like him gloating and being like, oh, really? And then like coming out in all his like crazy huge glory where he's really scary looking. Or he doesn't come out at all. And he's like, I'm not giving this guy two seconds of my day.
I thought the same thing, but he surprised everyone. Quote, and Sauron came, even from his mighty tower of Barad-dûr he came, which, sorry, side note here, I'm sure that took a while because I doubt he had an elevator and that would have been a crap ton of stairs to go down. But anyways.
Yeah, he's just like, walking, like, hold on. Hold on.
Sorry, continuing the quote now. And made no offer of battle, for he perceived that the power and majesty of the kings of the sea, the Numenorians, surpassed all rumor of them, so that he could not trust even the greatest of his servants to withstand them. And he saw not his time yet to work his will with the Dunedain.
Okay, So
instead of sending an army to try and fight them, he looks at these messengers, who I'm sure had these like cool weapons, nice bright and shiny armor. And then he looks over at his orcs and he's like, Jerry, you literally have tree bark like taped to your chest. And is that a bowl on your head? Yeah. These Numenorians might be a bit more advanced than us. So I guess I'll go and feel these guys out first.
Okay. So he's like, maybe I can get something from them.
Yeah. Quote, and he was crafty, well skilled to gain what he could by subtlety when force might not avail. Therefore he humbled himself before Ar-Pharazon and smoothed his tongue. And men wondered, for all that he said seemed fair and wise.
See, okay, I know that there's hate for the Rings of Power show, but they showed that really well.
Right?
Spoilers, but
Spoilers.
they showed that pretty well, that aspect.
But, yeah. He's so crafty. But I'm sorry, the term smoothed his tongue really bothered me. And it immediately made me imagine, like, so he first shows up and he's like talking like a snake or something with his tongue all rolled up like a party blower. And then like he's like, oh, sorry, hold on. And he like unrolls it, straightens it out, smooths it out, and then he starts talking. So, I am Sauron. He talks like very fancy and sophisticated with like an English accent.
Yes, he's like, oh, sorry. Hello, my dears. Oh my gosh, it's been ages.
Yes. Yes. 100% yes. Quote, but Ar-Pharazon was not yet deceived, and it came into his mind that, for the better keeping of Sauron and of his oaths of fealty, he should be brought to Numenor, there to dwell as a hostage for himself and all his servants in Middle-earth.
What?
Say what now?
And they can't see past that? It's so like
I'm
obvious.
sure this bad guy is not, I'm going to keep, I can control him. I got him handled. I'm going to take him, I'm going to keep a close eye on him, and I'm going to take him to Numenor with us as a hostage.
I totally think he, so wait, did Pharazon suggest that, or did Sauron suggest that?
Oh, that is 100% Pharazon.
Okay, I was gonna say, if Sauron suggested it, I could see it being like him just like, oh my gosh, your armor is beautiful. Like, just totally like
flattery.
Flattering him and like all the stuff, and then he's like, oh gosh, wait, no, I'm the guy in charge here. And then he's like,
of course you are.
Oh, I would love to see where you make it. He's like, really? I mean, stop it. I mean, no, you're my prisoner. He's like, okay.
I keep trying to go back to Melkor. Like, what did he learn from Melkor? And I feel like he really got this psychologically manipulating, but Melkor would not have been this smooth.
True.
Because, hold on to your hats now, people. Quote, to this Sauron assented as one constrained, yet in his secret thought he received it gladly, for it chimed indeed with his desire. And Sauron passed over the sea and looked upon the land of Numenor, and on the city of Armenelos in the days of its glory. And he was astounded, but his heart within was filled the more with envy and hate.
Oh,
yeah. But like, I can just imagine like Melkor, like, I am so proud of you. The cunning, the finesse, just bravo.
That's my boy.
Yeah. And then Melkor is just going to be like, I just keep imagining Melkor as like the invisible cheerleader from Beyond the Void, just like, yes, you did it. Which I needed. I need the visualization. I need that made into an art form immediately, please. Come on, artist of the universe, please make this happen for my brain, because he's going to be so much more proud. Wait for it, Oakley. Just wait for it. Quote, yet such was the cunning of his, Sauron's, mind and mouth, and the strength of his hidden will, that ere 3 years had passed, he had become closest to the secret counsels of the king. For flattery sweet as honey was ever on his tongue, and knowledge he had of many things yet unrevealed to men.
Sorry, Oakley's really wanting to say something here.
What do you think?
What do you think, Oakley?
Like, I don't know how you go from being a hostage to a counselor to the king. The only thing I can think of is that he pulled some like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat crap and started like interpreting everyone's dreams or giving like relationship advice or something that just like throws him through the ranks.
Maybe he has a really good scone recipe and he made them all the time. And they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's the best.
Sauron the scone maker.
I could see it.
I love it.
He has a lot of time up there in that tower. Maybe he's perfected it.
Oh, yeah.
Or they're just like so in awe and like scared of all his knowledge that they're like, he's better than all of us. Whoa.
But I really wish it said which things he revealed to them that they didn't know before, because let's not forget, we brought this up before, but Sauron is one of the Maiar. He has been around a long time, and he has seen a lot of important events in history. A history that if you didn't want to listen or read anything about the Eldar or the Valar, you wouldn't really know. So Sauron is like, hey, Pharazon, did you know that the moon is a dude? He's like, oh, and that star over there, that's a dude too. In fact, that is your hero, Erendil. Oh, and the sun is a girl too, but don't even try. She plays super hard to get. And you can imagine them being like, no way, this guy knows everything. Well, once the other counselors of the king see that Ar-Pharazon is starting to like Sauron, they just start, quote, fawning all over him.
It's like the opposite of in Hercules, where there's like merch and stuff for Hercules, and Hades is like, what are those? And it's the air hurt. Like they just start suddenly have like,
I thought they were really dashing. So because now Sauron has the ears of some of the most influential men of Numenor, here is where he really gets to work, spinning a web of lies. And he starts contradicting everything that they had ever been taught by the Valar. Quote, and he bade men think that in the world, in the east, and even in the west, there lay yet many seas and many lands for their winning, wherein was wealth uncounted. And still, if they should at the last come to the end of those lands and seas, beyond all lay the ancient darkness.
Spoopy.
Mm-hmm. So, like, in other words, he's like, hey, did you know that there are other lands besides Middle-earth? And they have way better stuff than Middle-earth does. Like, oh, did the Valar not tell you about them? Oh, yeah, way better stuff. There are so many other places you could go. But, you know, if you somehow, you know, went to all of those places and got to the very end, you would see this really cool place called the Ancient Darkness.
But that doesn't sound very, like, inviting at all.
Yeah, but
who'd want to go there?
Oh, Sauron is about to paint that picture very nicely here. But to us who know all the truth, the ancient darkness is really just a fancy name for the void, which is that kind of eternal space that surrounds the world that Morgoth is currently imprisoned in. But Sauron is going to make it sound really cool here. Quote, and out of it the world was made, for darkness alone is worshipful. And the Lord thereof may yet make other worlds to be gifts to those that serve him, so that the increase of their power shall find no end. So while it is true that Eru Ilúvatar made the world in the area known as the Void, remember that from the very beginning, like a long time ago, you know, that was all Eru Ilúvatar, but he has never said anything about worshiping the dark. So Sauron is kind of twisting the creation story and making it sound like Melkor made the world, and also that he can make other worlds and he can make people that serve him super powerful. Which, like, as a sales pitch, doesn't sound quite right to me. But hey, if you completely cut out the Eldar and the Valar version of the story out of your life, and this is the first time you are hearing a creation story, then I guess that's what you're going to believe. Like, you don't know anything different.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And if you're, like, on an island and you're like, new things that I am allowed to go see and no one's going to say no? Because, like, they've been so stifled and they're like, I want new stuff. So maybe that's enticing as well.
Yeah. So Ar-Pharazon is like definitely leaning into this story because he's like, quote, who is the Lord of Darkness?
Is he pretty cool? Is he like pretty Like, is he like bigger than me, or is he like is he like cooler than me,
And
or
but then interestingly, it specifies that Sauron took Ar-Pharazon to another place, quote, behind locked doors. Like, it's super secret. Only the cool people get to know. But since we're tight, I guess I'll tell you.
oh
But
my
we have to do
gosh.
it behind a super secret locked door,
I
which
know.
makes it sound even cooler.
Oh my gosh.
Quote, then behind locked doors, Sauron spoke to the king, and he lied, saying, it is he whose name is not now spoken, for the Valar have deceived you concerning him, putting forward the name of Eru, a phantom devised in the folly of their hearts, seeking to enchain men in servitude to themselves. For they are the oracle of this Eru, which speaks only what they will. But he that is their master shall yet prevail, and he will deliver you from this phantom. And his name is Melkor, Lord of all, giver of freedom, and he shall make you stronger than they.
Whoa. That's a little intense.
Uh-huh. You should hear the Audible guy say that the whole sentence. It's like,
Oh.
it gives you like shivers. And his name is Melkor.
Oh. Nee.
But okay, I'm trying to think of Sauron's endgame here. Like, can he even get Melkor out of the void? Like, what is the?
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's what he's trying to do. Like, okay, ultimately, I'm gonna use these guys in Numenor to like break him out, right? Because that's. But how do you do that? But then I also had this other thought too, that after Melkor did his bad stuff with the trees and everything, they stopped calling him Melkor because he's like, they don't deserve that name. He is now called Morgoth because he is now a bad guy for sure. So if you didn't know that Morgoth and Melkor were the same people, so even if you had heard some of the history of Middle-earth, that Morgoth was the bad guy, he was the one who fought the wars and everything, then you hear this Melkor guy and you don't know it's the same guy.
Yeah, because I feel like they changed it way before their like population was big enough to know that.
Exactly.
Dun
Yep.
dun dun.
So they might not even have known that it was the same guy. But I love that one of his monikers is Giver of Freedom. Really? Really, Melkor?
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to cut it a little short today because we have some things to do, but that's actually where I'm going to leave you today. But I did want to put another thing that I figured out today too. And I will eventually, when we get to other things, be able to back it up.
Okay.
But I was in my head doing the recap and we kind of skipped over it. But when Tar Palantir was king, we didn't really go over it, but he had a gift of foresight. He could see into the future a bit. And he had this prophecy about the white tree. And it said that if the white tree were to die, then the line of kings would be over.
Yes, I remember that. Or I remember hearing about that.
And that's why we had this, like, the joke that he was, like, really obsessed about, like, making sure the tree was watered and taken care of. And, like, if he missed a day, he would, like, freak out.
He had the little baby gate around it.
So I'm not 100% sure about this. But what if that prophecy was the first prophecy about the white tree? And it lasted for years and years and years until we get to the Return of the King, when you're at the White Tree of Gondor, that is dead, essentially. But they had this kind of zoom in on the movie of like a blossom appearing, and it's like the war's not over, but it's getting close. Like things are looking dire, but then you see this blossom on the white tree,
a new growth, hope,
a new growth. Yes, that the line of kings wasn't over after all. The white tree wasn't dead. Because when the white tree was looking dead for years and years and years, it was because the stewards were in charge. There wasn't a king in Gondor, right? So as the war was going on for the Gondor versus Mordor and the men versus everyone, they didn't have a king. But as Aragorn, took on that role of king, that's when the new growth came
Aw.
and the line of kings was like renewed.
That's cute.
Right? I thought you'd like that.
Thank you. Well, thanks for teaching me today.
You're welcome.
Everyone go forth with the confidence, but not the stupidity, just the confidence of Pharazon throughout their day today, okay? Don't try to go take down a freaking Sauron, whatever, but just like go forth with as much confidence
I wish I
as
could bottle
that
up
guy,
that confidence.
okay?
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. Become a patron and join our Patreon at patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire Podcast. You can join our friends Dan, who is a dwarf friend of the Shire and who's always amazing and supportive. We appreciate you so much, Dan. And Chris Shane and our new friend Tom, to our elf friends of the Shire.
Good job.
Please be sure to rate us on whatever platform you listen to your podcast on. We got a new review on Apple with someone very nice. And I have to read his review. It's from Gall. I'm assuming that's how you say his name, Dornick. It says, a charming little podcast, not scholars, but best friends, one explaining the text to the other. Like, yes, I will take that. That is accurate. I am not offended at all by that. That is actually, yeah.
Oakley, what do you say? Can you say thank you to Aunt Ashley? Say thank you.
You're welcome. And I get to see you soon.
I know.
But first we have to talk world domination really fast.
Who's dominating?
Because we had some countries overthrew other countries. Australia is not going to be very happy about this, given the, what is it called? Imperialism that you went through. Because the UK has overtaken Australia.
Fight back, Australia. Fight back like you did once before. Oh my goodness.
And then Brazil actually overtook Slovenia and Austria.
Good job, guys.
Get it, Brazil.
I'm proud of all of you.
Good job. So proud of you.
It's been fun today. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Until next week, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby. And Oakley, can you say hi?
Hi. I love it.
And this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Say bye.
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 Cutest co-host ever.